My fiancé was accidentally pushed into the traffic by his ex-girlfriend to save him. My IQ has remained at a childlike level ever since, but he said he loves the child like me even more. He even vented his anger at his ex-girlfriend because of me 3 years later. The scene repeated. I hit my head again. And he saved his ex-girlfriend, yet he still claimed to love me and continued to make things difficult for his ex-girlfriend. However, I decided to let them be together. But then he panicked and complained that I didn't love him. I smiled softly and told him, I've already said that I'm not stupid anymore. Wearing my wedding dress, I stared at the clock on the wall that showed 11 o'clock and secretly took out a book. The clock is broken. After reading the book several times, I came to a conclusion. Gabriel said he would pick me up at 7 o'clock sharp, but he wasn't here yet. My younger brother's eyes turned red for no apparent reason. Sis, you're getting smarter and smarter. I'll get someone to fix it later. Of course, I study hard every day. People always laughed at me for learning things slowly. Gabriel taught me a phrase, the slow need to start early. A makeup artist beside me covered her mouth and giggled. I gave her a sweet smile in return, and she somewhat sheepishly gave me a thumbs up. Another day of giving myself a thumbs up for being smart. As time passed by minute, I yawned several times and quietly shifted my body. In the past, I surely couldn't have sat still, but Gabriel specifically told me to wait for him obediently. If I wasn't obedient, he would surely cry. He had been like this since we were kids, and I was already afraid of that. A commotion came from outside the door. Could the groom be running away from the wedding? Impossible, right? I heard it was the groom who proposed the marriage. It's quite possible actually. After all, who would want to marry a fool? I hung my head in confusion. The fool they were talking about was me. Although they only said it behind my back, I knew it all. 3 years ago, Gabriel was sending his drunk ex-girlfriend home when she accidentally pushed him into the traffic to save him. I hurt my head. And both my IQ and memory stayed at a childlike state. Gabriel won't lie to me. He said he'd come at 7, so he will. I shouted loudly, fearing they couldn't hear me outside. It's almost 12 o'clock. If he was going to marry you, he would have come long ago. I whined and complained. Why talk to her so much? She's a fool and can't tell the time. Someone echoed. I widened my eyes and was about to speak. Your whole family are fools, my younger brother roared. And finally, the outside fell silent. His eyes were blood red, and my heart felt a bit sour. Gabriel always keeps his word. He must be late because something came up. I comforted him. My younger brother's eyes became even redder. It's true, I said anxiously. Before our parents passed away, they said we had a childhood betrothal. That means he's mine since he was born, and I'm his. Gabriel also said that we would be together like a prince and a princess forever in this life. I gave examples to explain. My younger brother forced a smile. I let out a sigh of relief, looked at him a few times, and couldn't help but say, Brother, you don't look good when you smile. You should learn from Gabriel how to smile nicely in the future. The smile on his lips froze. The groom is here. The groom is here. Cheers came. I quickly stood up and was about to look out of the window. But I was pushed back onto the bed. Gabriel rushed into the room, panting. Sorry. I'm late. Was it a traffic jam? I asked with a big smile. I knew you wouldn't lie to me. His eyes were wandering, not looking at me. Why are you sweating so much? I wiped the sweat off his face. Clearly the exhausting wedding day games like picking up the bride were cancelled because of the lack of time. Brother, why are you angry again? I said helplessly. You have to take good care of yourself in the future. My younger brother's tears were on the verge of falling, but looking at my smiling face, he said nothing. Just as we were about to get into the wedding car, a woman stopped us. Gabriel, I don't want to have an abortion. It was Leila, Gabriel's ex-girlfriend. Whispers spread around. I heard the groom was late because this ex-girlfriend tried to commit suicide. For some reason, my heart felt like a big stone was pressing on it. Gabriel, my younger brother roared. Your ex has come to the door. Is this your so-called explanation? Leila was crying pitifully. Gabriel's face was gloomy, a look I had never seen before. My younger brother rushed forward angrily and punched Gabriel in the face. A group of people were shocked and tried their best to pull them apart. I quickly rushed up. Gabriel was most afraid of pain. Every time I had a head acupuncture treatment every month, he would turn pale with fear, looking more pain than me. Oops. Leela, you're blocking me. I shouted anxiously. Gabriel, I know you're a responsible person, you were marrying Elena just out of guilt, right? But can you also be responsible for my baby? She said, stroking his face and choking back sobs. I stopped in my tracks. The word guilt wasn't new to me. I even looked it up in the dictionary anyway. It wasn't because of the prince and princess kind of love. I couldn't help but sniff. She has your baby, so are you going to change your bride? He had said that his bride would give birth to a baby for him when she grew up, but he had also said that his bride would only be me. Tears unconsciously wet my eyelashes. Gabriel covered my ears and pushed Leela away. The child isn't mine, I only slept with you, Leela said sharply. Gabriel frowned and impatiently tugged at his tie. She sneered and said to me, Elena, since it was my fault that caused you to get hurt, I'll pay with my life. Suddenly, she grabbed me and rushed towards the road. Gabriel was quick-witted and hugged her. I stood there, at a loss. Gabriel shook her off and pulled me towards the wedding car, but Leela stubbornly blocked his way. The car is coming, I said nervously, my eyes wide open. It was exactly the same as the car accident 3 years ago. My legs couldn't move at all. I tried my best to raise my hand to push Gabriel away. Subconsciously, he hugged his ex-girlfriend and dodged. Bang! The sound of an emergency brake rang out, accompanied by the driver's continuous cursing before I fell into a coma. A flood of past memories rushed into my mind. The memories of the past 3 years kept playing on loop. I'd booked the plane tickets for next weekend. My brother, Theodore, burst into the ward excitedly. Do you really not like Gabriel anymore? You used to be head over heels for him. He probed again. I casually wiped the moisture from the corner of my eye and nodded slowly. He let out a sigh of relief. We don't need this marriage. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. No way, my cold voice sounded. I held my head and carefully sized up the man outside the door. 3 years had passed. And Gabriel seemed the same, yet different. Gabriel, what right do you have? My brother roared angrily. Gabriel ignored him. His eyes filled with concern. Elena, having fulfilled my accession. I only love you. I'll make it up to you with a grander wedding. Don't be so hypocritical, my brother shouted and couldn't help but throw a punch. Gabriel didn't dodge, instead comforting me. Elena, don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt. My brother's fist turned bright red. I called out to him in a low voice, Theodore. I want to eat strawberries, go buy some for me. Gabriel worked out and boxed every day. My brother was impulsive and would only end up hurting himself. My brother looked indignant, yet worried that I might revert to my previous childlike state. Gabriel smiled, as if certain that I would stand up for him. How's her baby? I asked inferently. His smile froze, and he opened his mouth. She doesn't have a baby, but you taught me that if you sleep in the same bed, you can get pregnant, I said innocently. Gabriel's eyes flickered, but he remained calm. She's lying, she took pictures. I frowned. I just. He seemed unable to continue. You think I'm a fool again, don't you? My eyes turned red. He coaxed me gently. Don't you trust me? You know I love you the most. I don't trust liars. I turned my head away, not wanting to look at his face. It's all my fault. Leela sobbed. Standing outside the door were also her group of friends. She took out a peace amulet. Looking sincere. Elena, I got this for you, you must accept it. Or I really. Gabriel snatched it and threw it into the trash can, his gaze icy. Are you trying to morally blackmail her? This worthless thing. This is what Leela begged for after climbing 9,999 steps of the ladder, her best friend exclaimed. Gabriel was stunned for a second, then said coldly. She deserves to do it if it weren't for her ruining the wedding. Elena wouldn't have gotten hurt again. Leela looked hurt. I just don't want to see a marriage without love. Forced marriages won't bring happiness. She turned to me. Elena, have you played the game of playing house? Gabriel played with me last week, I said. Counting on my fingers. Gabriel rubbed my head, smiling. My little bride's memory is getting better. Leela took a deep breath. He also said I'm his life. And no one can compare to me. I dodged his hand. She gritted her teeth. Getting married and having children is not the same as playing house. Leela, she's a fool. How would she know the difference? Elena, having fulfilled my obsessions. Fools can't have babies. Their taunts were as full of malice as when they used to tease me before. Ah, so lively. I cheered and quickly splashed the basin of foot washing water on them. It's as lively as the water splashing festival. So much fun, I said with a grin. You stupid girl, how dare you? Leela's best friend rushed forward. Just as she was about to strike, Gabriel stopped her. Elena is like a child. I love her just the way she is. I pretended to lower my head shyly. My eyes dark. Gabriel always said that I was taciturn when I grew up, not as lively and cute as when I was a child. I didn't understand when I was like a child. Now that I think about it, does he really love me? Or is it just because of the friendship from childhood? Gabriel, she got depression and tried to commit suicide because of you. How can you live with yourself? Leela's best friend lashed out. She said she would commit suicide hundreds of times. Did she die? Gabriel was a bit impatient. Leela swayed as if about to fall. Before she collapsed, Gabriel moved quickly and caught her. Leela, you have a high fever and still don't go to the doctor. Is this a play for sympathy? He roared. She got caught in the rain for a whole day and night to get that peace amulet. Leela's best friend glared at him. Gabriel's face changed slightly. His brows furrowed, and he seemed somewhat touched. Leave me alone. It's all my own doing. Leela mumbled, trying to push him away, but leaned more weakly against him. Gabriel. You'd better save her. You love helping others, right? I said enthusiastically. Gabriel let out a frustrated breath and said to me gently, I'm afraid she'll infect you. I'll send her away first. Looking at his hurrying back, I lowered my eyes. He kept saying he loved me and hated Leela, yet he was more anxious about her than anyone else. But he just couldn't see it. Leela still has a fever, but she quite up at 3 am to buy wontons and shrimp dumplings for you. She's such a fool. I don't even know if they're clean. Gabriel kept muttering, but his speed of swallowing the food wasn't slow. She even insisted on climbing the ladder again to get you a peace amulet. Superstitious and not even afraid of getting her head hurt. He thought I didn't know that he secretly picked up the peace amulet from the trash can, despite his severe mysophobia. But what she gave me are all things I don't like to eat. I couldn't help but interrupt him. They were all the things he liked. We can't be picky eaters, you know. His tone was gentle. You said you don't like her. Why are you eating the food she gave you? I asked, looking at him expectantly. His eyes flickered. But it's her good intention at a waste not to. Just like the dolls she gave you. Although they're not worth much, she spent a lot of tokens to catch them for you by herself. The day I threw away the dolls Leela gave me. He picked them up and lectured me earnestly. I yawned listlessly and closed my eyes, pretending to sleep on the day of my discharge. Gabriel was late. By the time he rushed to my house in a hurry, it was already night. Why didn't you wait for me? I searched for you in the hospital for a long time. He hugged me tightly. You used to say it's stupid to wait for someone in the cold wind. I pushed him away and tilted my head. But you used to. He looked a bit awkward and finally didn't finish his sentence. I knew what he wanted to say. In the past, no matter how long or cold it was, I would wait for him to pick me up. It's all because Leela troubled you, right? I cut in considerately. I was almost sick of hearing his excuse. She paused and changed the subject. I prepared a new wedding banquet. My brother said we agreed to get married 3 years ago. Is that true? I asked suddenly. His eyes flickered. But he nodded with a normal expression. My eyes dimmed. I actually wanted to break up, but it's okay. Since it's destined, I just need to prepare a farewell gift first. The next day, Gabriel took me to the wedding room he had prepared. The layout of the house was exactly the same as my home. It was obvious that he had put a lot of thought into it. Welcome home, the password lock beeped. Looking up, it was Leela. I slowly curled my lips. Welcome home. Oh, I didn't know you two were here. She looked innocent, but her intentions were malicious. Elena, do you like this house? I've already tried out the big bed. It's really comfortable. Gabriel's face changed slightly. And he stared at Leela. He didn't intend to explain why she had the password. Gabriel took me to the study. Turned on the cartoons. and handed me a basin of washed strawberries. Eat the tips of the strawberries, I'll come and eat the ends later. Seeing me nod obediently, he rubbed my head, then turned around and pulled Leela out the door. I locked the door behind them and leisurely turned on the surveillance. I installed the surveillance because he was worried about me being alone at home after marriage. What are you so nervous about? Leela asked with a smile. Gabriel turned his head away. Leela traced circles on his chest with her finger. What can a fool like her understand? Besides, can you really get intimate with that innocent face of hers? You want a son, don't you? I don't care about the title. She slowly moved closer to him, hooking her arms around his neck. Gabriel didn't move away even though I was mentally prepared. My heart still couldn't help but ache. A wave of nausea welled up. The two of them entangled were exactly the same as 3 years ago. I suddenly opened the door, and they quickly separated. What right do you have to commit suicide? You should live and atone for Elena. Gabriel's voice was cold, but his hands were tightly holding her. Why are you stopping me? You won't take responsibility for me anyway. I might as well be dead. Leela's voice sounded like she was on the verge of crying. But there wasn't a single tear on her face. How they really put on a good act. I really like this house. When will we have the wedding again? I asked with a big smile. Gabriel was stunned, then smiled. Soon. This time, we won't have the bride fetching part. We'll go straight to the church for the wedding. Leela's eyes were filled with jealousy. She suddenly said maliciously, Elena, I want to invite you to dinner tonight. I don't have any money. I sneered inwardly but said innocently. Gabriel smiled. She's treating. You don't need to pay. I said with a troubled look, but every time she asks me to pay, saying she treats and I pay the bill. He glared at her. Then asked me patiently, Elena, why didn't you tell me? You said she's a good friend. And we should be generous when making friends, not be stingy. He was immediately speechless. I'll tell you a secret. I smiled. She also taught me to drink. She said drinking would make me smarter. Gabriel looked at her in disbelief and glared angrily. Leela, I don't believe you didn't know that Elena's condition doesn't allow her to drink. She shrugged indifferently. She's still alive, isn't she? I can even attempt suicide and be fine. She's doing it for my own good. I want to be smart. I smiled. She also said you to often get drunk. Gabriel. You said you wouldn't drink anymore. 3 years ago, he was pushed into the traffic by Leela because she was drunk. He said alcohol had hurt me. And it was something he hated the most. He promised he would never touch it. He took a deep breath and first persuaded me to go back to the room. 1 bottle. 2 bottles, having fulfilled lead session. 3 bottles of wine were poured into Leela's mouth. Leela struggled hard and scratched him. Leela, Gabriel is so good to you. Drinking makes you smart. I rushed out and accidentally stepped on her hand just like she stepped on me back then. And just like back then, bottle after bottle of wine was poured into my mouth, nose, and my face was covered with tears and snot until she got tired of my ugly appearance. Later, I didn't want to get smart anymore, but she could always persuade Gabriel to send me over every time she took the opportunity to get me alone and deliberately pour alcohol. But told Gabriel that I was being playful and spilled the wine. Her friends naturally wouldn't expose her, and Gabriel never questioned her. Decided to open 1 bottle after another of wine and poured them all over the 2 of them. Yay, haven't you? But at a low sigh. Let's all become smart together. I clapped my hands. The remaining bottles that I couldn't open, I smashed them all. Gabriel was stunned. After a while, he looked at me, both helpless and amused. Has she become extremely smart now? I smiled innocently. Leela coughed a few times. I dodged in disgust and said half seriously, half jokingly, this house is dirty. I don't want it anymore. I'll clean it. Gabriel pushed me into the cloakroom. I've prepared a new wedding dress. Try it on first. Leela followed in somehow and said in a sarcastic tone, You're really lucky, you fool. I ignored her and stared at the custom-made wedding dress. I had once fantasized countless times about how I would look in a wedding dress. I came here today just to draw a line under the past. Do you know what the wedding night is? It's better that you're stupid. Anyway, a secret relationship is more exciting. She giggled. Only I have lain in his bed, in his arms, and even here, including on your wedding dress. She laughed to herself. Slap. I slapped her hard. Still feeling nauseous, I slapped her a few more times. She came to her senses and shrieked, "You fool! How dare you hit me?" I kicked away the wedding dress in disgust and said softly, "Probably because I'm a fool. It's not easy to take advantage of a fool." Gabriel rushed in. Gabriel rushed in. She said she slept with you many times a year in the same bed. She also said she wore my new underwear and even your underwear. I had learned their trick of changing expressions in an instant and started crying pitifully. I also wanted to let out the pent-up frustration of the past few years. "You're so dirty. Let me mop you up." I picked up a mop and randomly swept it towards Gabriel. Gabriel came to his senses and roared, "Leela! What are you talking about?" He tried his best to dodge the mop in my hand but underestimated the strength of a fool. I had him to thank for that after I became like this. He was afraid I'd be bullied, so he specifically found someone to teach me how to fight. I turned around and picked up the bucket for washing the mop. The sound of water splashing was really pleasant. They were drenched like drowned rats. The water splashed on my face, covering up my tears. "Let's see if it can be washed clean." I looked at Gabriel with a smile. "Elena, don't play with water, be good." Gabriel furrowed his brows, but his eyes didn't look fierce. "You'll get your clothes wet and catch a cold later." Just like when he used to scold me for being naughty when I was a kid. He was annoyed but had no way to deal with me. My heart couldn't stop aching. This was the same gentleman who had always been so patient with me. "Don't cry. It breaks my heart." He touched my face. "She said you're marrying me out of guilt." I dodged his hand. "Of course not," he said quickly. "But you said she was smart and the one who understood you best." He was immediately speechless and let out a sigh. "I love you, I'll understand when you grow up." I lowered my head and laughed self-deprecating lie. It was truly ridiculous. "You're too dirty to be washed clean. I don't want you anymore," I said meaningfully. "I'll wash again." "Wait for me," he said, amused. "No. I'm disgusted." I walked straight to the door. My brother was already waiting for me outside. Gabriel said helplessly and gently, "Then I'll transfer you some pocket money. Will you write that it's a voluntary gift?" I asked. He was surprised. "Which idle drama did you learn this from?" Suddenly, he stared seriously at my head. "I feel like you've changed a bit after this hospital stay." "I'm not a fool," I said rather seriously. He smiled. "Seems the doctor was right. You're getting smarter gradually." It was obvious he didn't really believe it. When my brother learned that I agreed to have the wedding again, he cried his heart out. A flash of pride crossed Gabriel's eyes as he sent me to the car after he left. My brother wiped away his tears and asked tentatively, "Sis, your mind? They say a fool's words don't count." I looked at him with a half smile. He patted his chest and choked. "Sis, you scared me to death. I haven't gotten married to him, right?" I suddenly remembered. No, my brother said quickly. Thanks to Leela making a fuss, saying that a fool has no cognitive ability. So it's hard to get a marriage license. I sighed in relief. From now on, it's just the two of us in our family. His eyes instantly turned red, and he nodded vigorously. Even though we had bickered since we were kids, Gabriel was once like a part of our family. Now I was too tired to entangle with him the next day. Gabriel came to see me as if nothing had happened. I packed up the gifts he gave me and handed them to him. He thought I was about to move to the wedding room and took them with a beaming smile. On the wedding day, my brother and I left. We left a big gift. Before setting off, Gabriel checked his watch several times. This time, he definitely wouldn't be late. Elena was the bride he had wanted to marry since he was a child. The young Elena was lively and cute. And his parents liked her too, but after her parents died in an accident, she changed from the lively and cute girl she used to be into a cold and silent one. Gabriel felt sorry for her. After all, she was just a teenager and had to take care of her naughty younger brother. 3 years ago, she saved him. And her IQ and memory regressed to a childlike state. He felt both guilty and sympathetic. However, Elena had also become innocent and lively again. He decided to be good to her for the rest of his life. The car slowly drove into the church. He smiled, guessing that Elena must be looking at him by the window again. When he learned that Elena hadn't arrived yet, he checked the time and sent a message urging Theodore. He had disliked Theodore since they were kids when they were young. Theodore was often jealous and targeted him when they grew up. If it wasn't for Theodore, Elena wouldn't have been so hard-working. And she wouldn't have refused to go abroad with him because she couldn't rest assured about Theodore as time passed by minute by minute. Theodore couldn't be reached. A commotion came from outside. Could the fool be running away from the wedding? Impossible. Her brother surely wouldn't be willing to let that happen. Marrying into the Vaughn family means a life of ease. Gabriel frowned suddenly. He thought of the last time he was late for the bride fetching. Had they taunted Elena like this then? Suddenly, the commotion outside grew louder. He furrowed his brows and walked out just as he was about to scold. He was stunned on the public screen, which was originally showing the affectionate photos he had prepared, now played one video after another. Elena sitting at the door stupidly waiting for him all day, countless times Selena hiding many strawberry tips for him. Elena making a fool of herself to defend him when others mocked him for marrying a fool. Gabriel's eyes gradually became moist. He didn't know that Elena had done so much for him behind his back. She was such a little fool. The next second, his smile froze. The screen started playing the ambiguous clips of him and Leela, including the clips of him and Leela in the past abroad, including Leela's provocations and bullying of Elena a few years ago, and including the ambiguous clips of him and Leela in the wedding room. After the videos finished, they started playing on a loop. The affectionate photos he had prepared on the screen seemed to be mocking him. A delivery rider came in with a gift box. Gabriel felt a sense of unease. He slowly opened it. It was a wedding dress and a letter. Letter of calling off the wedding. Leela behind him read it word by word. Then laughed out loud. Your fool bride has run away from the wedding. Impossible. Gabriel roared. I originally wanted to play the videos of your affection at the wedding to make you lose all your face. But over the years, your family has been nice to me and my brother, so let's part ways and wish each other happiness. Cross out the above. Leela read word by word. Then suddenly paused. Bullshit. I can't swallow this humiliation. Gabriel, you're so dirty and disgusting. I'm disgusted. I don't want you anymore. Elena. Leela finished reading expressionlessly. Then feigned surprise. The fool has grown a brain. It must be Theodore. He's disliked me since we were kids. Gabriel said through gritted teeth. His hands were slightly trembling. Only he knew that this was Elena's handwriting. Her handwriting as an adult. Completely different from when she was acting silly. Gabriel pushed Leela away, grabbed the keys, and rushed to the car. The Hawthorne's gate was tightly shut. The pounded on it. Theodore. Open the door. Give Elena back to me. Elena. Open the door. The neighbor frowned. Stop knocking, they've left. Left? Where did they go? When will they be back? Gabriel's voice trembled. How would I know? I heard they're not coming back. If you keep disturbing the peace, I'll call the police. The neighbor said impatiently. Gabriel slid down weakly to the ground. He couldn't remember how he got back. Elena and Theodore couldn't be reached. He sent people to look for their whereabouts, but there was still no news. He sat in the wedding room, lost and dejected. Everywhere was the festive red. He suddenly thought of Elena's appearance recently. She often fell into silence, her smiles not reaching her eyes, and she made various tests. He should have noticed earlier. He couldn't imagine what kind of mood Elena was in when she pretended to be stupid. No, she had said she wasn't stupid. He just didn't take it seriously. Gabriel felt a sharp pain in his heart. Welcome home. The password lock beeped. He was stunned, then an ecstatic smile appeared on his face. Elena. You. He stopped in his tracks. Didn't I warn you not to come again? His eyes were cold. Leela chuckled. Do you think she'll come back? Gabriel was breathing heavily. She stroked his chest. Don't be angry. Where could she go? At most, she's just gone to relax. When she comes back, I'll explain it to her. Everyone has a past, right? She said nonchalantly with a smile. The phone rang, interrupting what Gabriel was about to say. Gabriel. Is there any news about Elena? Yes, there is. The person on the other end hesitated. We found out about a flight to Provence. Great. I knew it. Her brother said he wanted to take her to Provence for a trip before. Gabriel heaved a sigh of relief. But how then fulfilled my obsession? The person paused. The plane crashed. Gabriel froze in place. My brother and I went to the airport quietly. Our destination was Provence, where our parents were buried in the sea. I hadn't visited them in the past 3 years. Gabriel always said he was busy and that we'd go there when we had time in the future. My brother wanted to take me, but Gabriel was worried and said he couldn't bear to part with me every time. I was successfully persuaded by his pitiful look. We went through the ticket checking, security checking, and waiting procedures. Just as we were about to board the plane, the phone rang. I thought it was Gabriel looking down. It was Oliver, a former student of my parents'. He had come to the city where we lived with my parents' belongings. My brother and I looked at each other and decided to meet him. Before the teacher passed away, he left a gift. But the cleaner made a mistake and put it in the corner of my drawer for many years, Oliver said apologetically. When we opened it, it was a U-disc. He turned on the computer, inserted it. And it was a blessing video. Tears streamed down my face. It was a birthday video my parents prepared for me. They made it into an animated film I liked and even did the dubbing themselves. Happy birthday, Elena. Always love yourself, said the end of the video. Back then, they were on a business trip. But they were in a car accident on their way back to celebrate my birthday. I suspected I had committed a great sin in my past life. That's why I'd been constantly dealing with car accidents in this life. My brother was also crying uncontrollably. After a long time, we composed ourselves and were very grateful to Oliver. When he heard we were going to Provence, he offered to give us a ride on his way. No, we'll take the plane. Sis, my brother said anxiously. That flight crashed. I gasped. My brother choked. Brother Oliver. You saved us. He waved his hand. It's the teacher protecting you. We got into Oliver's car in a daze. When we passed by the sea, the car stopped. I don't know how long I stared at the sea until a tissue was handed to me, and I came to my senses. Oliver said uncomfortably, the teacher said to love yourself. So don't cry. He seemed unaccustomed to comforting people. It's getting dark and cold, let us go back. He pulled my disheartened little brother and motioned for me to get in the car. He took us to a house. You can stay at my place. Seeing our hesitation, he added, I'll stay in the laboratory tonight. If you don't want to, I can take you to the city center. Then we're sorry to trouble you. I nodded. There was no hotel nearby, and it would take several hours to drive to the city center. That night, I caught a fever after being exposed to the sea breeze. In a daze, I mumbled. Gabriel. I had a dream about Gabriel. I had never doubted his love for me before. My parents died in an accident when I was in middle school, leaving me and my younger brother who had just started primary school. In the eyes of others, he was cold and silent, but he gave me almost all his patience. Especially after I became like a fool. He didn't think I was stupid or troublesome, but a few years ago, he had a relationship with Leela abroad and hid it from me. When he came back, he claimed he was clean and only loved me, but he didn't know Leela had already found. However, because he came back for me, I chose to forgive him once. Then 3 years ago, they still had an affair. When I found out, he also said he loved me. I don't love you anymore, Gabriel. I shouted in my dream. My brother nervously called Oliver for medicine. He came with a doctor directly. After that, he even brought our meals to the door every day. It was only after I recovered that I learned my brother had rented Oliver's house. Thank you, I said sincerely. The house. I don't stay here several times a year anyway, Oliver said inferiorly. Since my parents passed away early. Your parents would always come to my place to cook for me. He sounded a bit sentimental. And you even helped my brother get a job, I said gratefully. My brother followed in our parents' professional footsteps. Oliver had given him some guidance and found that he was quite talented. He took my brother out early and brought him back late every day. They were said to have participated in many tests. Since I didn't know how else to repay him, I asked my brother to send him delicious food and drinks every day. He said I inherited my parents' good cooking skills, although I thought his cooking was better than mine. Gabriel found out we didn't board the plane. My brother suddenly said at the dinner table, I heard he's looking for us all over the world. I felt nothing in my heart. Oh, what does it mean? Does this mean it's all over? He probed. Do you know that when you had a fever, you were calling Gabriel's name non-stop? I lowered my eyes and said nothing. It had taken so much effort to save Gabriel back then. Now, it would take the same amount of effort to let go of him. My brother was about to say something else. But a chicken leg stuffed in his mouth stopped him. Are you idle? Oliver asked quietly, as if there was more to his words. My brother was stunned. Seems a bit. Oliver continued, since you're idle, come to the laboratory with me to work overtime tonight. My brother wailed, I was talking about the chicken leg. I'm not idle. I haven't had a vacation for ages. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Oliver seemed to relax a bit after dinner. My brother went to wash the dishes voluntarily. Oliver sat on the sofa seriously watching the news. He was a person with a strong sense of boundaries. He didn't gossip casually or make random comments. I heard he's been single for 30 years and has rejected countless confessions. My brother whispered to me sneakily. He seems like a reliable candidate to be your husband. I gave him a sidelong glance. Half smiling. He suddenly asked seriously, what if Gabriel comes looking for you? Will you soften your heart? I heard he had a falling out with Leela. He showed me Gabriel's chat interface. It was all about asking for my whereabouts and asking my brother to convey his guilt and such. I glanced at it and looked away. In fact, I had also received those messages. I just didn't reply to any of them. Late coming affection is cheaper than grass. I told my brother to ignore them and went straight to the study to work. Recently, I found a job I loved, an animation voice-over artist. The birthday gift my parents gave me inspired me for this job. I returned to my old major from college. When Oliver heard about it, he even found channels to customize professional equipment for me. After working at it for a while, I achieved some small success online. Life was fulfilling and I almost forgot about Gabriel. It seemed that giving up on someone wasn't that difficult after all. When Gabriel learned that Elena's plane had crashed, he felt icy cold all over. He clearly felt his heart skip a beat, and then it started pounding violently. He stumbled all the way to his car, but didn't even have the strength to turn the steering wheel. It was Leela who was worried about him and sent him to the airport. This flight crashed. What about the passengers? He found the staff rumbling. No one survived. The plane was completely destroyed. The voice of a sobbing passenger's family member next to him sounded. His mind went blank, and he confirmed it again and again. The staff looked at him with pity. Gabriel's tears burst out instantly. Elena, Elena. He staggered, covered his chest, and cried bitterly. Leela looked at him with pity, trying to help him up. But he pushed her away. He slumped to the ground, murmuring Elena's name. He didn't know how long he had been calling. Around him, the other family members had all been persuaded to leave. Gabriel. The dead can't be brought back to life. You still have me. Leela's eyes were red. He looked up. Dazed. Still have you? Yes. Including in her place. She said affectionately, you? What are you? His expression was extremely cold. If it weren't for you, Elena wouldn't have left. She wouldn't have gotten on this flight. He became more and more excited. Got up, and grabbed her neck, roaring. It's all your fault. Then punish me to atone for my sins for the rest of my life. I'll be yours for life. She struggled hard and forced a smile. He looked indifferent, gritting his teeth. Your life is worthless. It can never compare to my Elena. His grip grew stronger, and passers-by nearby tried their best to separate them. Elena is dead. Leela coughed a few times and shouted harshly. Before, when she was stupid, I didn't care about her. Now that she's dead, you still miss her. What's so great about her that I can't compare? How dare you compare with her? She's the one I've cherished since I was a child. You were just a fling. Gabriel's face was vicious, and he tried to choke her neck again. Elena? Theodore? The staff interrupted. Are you talking about these two passengers? He looked up blankly. The staff sighed in relief. They didn't board the plane. Gabriel was stunned. They left temporarily after checking in. The staff said with emotion. Fortunately, they did. A sob came from Gabriel. He squatted on the ground, covering his face. After a while, he stood up, his legs weak, and bowed to the staff. Thank you. On the way back, he regained his calm and started making calls to look for them. But more than half a month passed, and there was still no sign of them. He even went to Provence and checked many hotels. But there was no check-in record. Gabriel was in a daze all day long, drinking himself drunk every day. Aren't you pathetic? She just doesn't want you. Otherwise, she would have told you by now. Leela snatched the wine from him. Gabriel ignored her and kept sending text messages persistently. Even though the other side never replied, he guessed that maybe she had changed her number, but as long as she didn't block him, there was still a chance. Elena was the kindest. She had forgiven him 3 years ago, and maybe she would forgive him in the future. Time passed a long time. So long that he couldn't remember what year or month it was. Gabriel's parents were both angry and concerned. If you had known this would happen, why did you do what you did back then? He ignored them and even left his work to his father. The sound of a phone push notification rang. He dropped the wine he had just snatched back, his eyes lighting up, thinking there was a reply. However, it was an animation promotion. Elena used to love watching cartoons the most, and he had followed a lot of related accounts. She weakly tried to close it, but accidentally clicked to open it the next second. He was stunned. It was Elena's voice. Elena, Elena. Gabriel choked, repeating my name. I stood at the door expressionlessly. His eyes were red-rimmed as he said, I thought you got on the plane. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't say anything. In my impression, he had always been calm, restrained, and elegant. At this moment, he looked exhausted. His clothes were wrinkled, and he had a beard and dark circles under his eyes. I used to not be superstitious. But he took out a peace amulet. I climbed 9,999 steps of the ladder, only praying for your safety. Fortunately, Dot heard my sincerity. I couldn't help but curl my lips. He also smiled. Let's go home. He babbled on about how empty the wedding room was and that he was too afraid to go back alone. It's all in the past with Leela. I've avenged those who bullied you. Can we live a good life from now on? Your so-called sincerity is really worthless. I sneered. I swear. He said quickly. Oh, right, I took out my phone. I have a gift for you. He took it with surprise, but then his face turned deathly pale. It was the ambiguous videos that Leela had sent me during this period. That was, inadvertently. That was when I was drunk and mistook her for you. She took advantage of me, he said through gritted teeth. I gave a mocking smile. He pursed his lips. I love you. You said the same thing before. I sneered. You always scold her harshly one moment and then do gentle things for her the next. Should I count how many times you've lied to me? My eyes were cold. He swayed as if about to fall. Let's go. I felt bored and closed the door the next day. When Gabriel came to the door, I didn't go downstairs later. My brother chased him away with a mop. This happened for several consecutive days. Elena, I brought you a gift. And there are also those you saved money to give me when you were working hard to support the family before. Give me another chance, please. He came to the door with a megaphone, and all the neighbors came out to watch. A basin of cold water was poured on him, but he didn't mind at all. Wash me for me. Then I won't be dirty anymore. You're dirtier than the mop water, I said coldly. He seemed to be stabbed by my gaze and froze in place. In the following days, he just silently stood guard at the door. I directly informed Leela soon. Leela came. Gabriel, I'm pregnant. Leela said happily downstairs to him. Leela, having fulfilled my obsession. How dare you come here? Gabriel said through gritted teeth. Why wouldn't I? I left my parents alone and followed you back to the country. And I've even been made fun of, she said sadly. I opened the door leisurely. Congratulations to you too. Go back quickly. Are you jealous? The baby can be aborted. Maybe it's not even mine, he said quickly. Leela looked hurt. I felt rather speechless. You can say such things so easily. I wonder who risked their life to save her back then. He shook his head, saying hatefully. I was blind before. Elena, you've given so much. How can you bear to leave me? Every man has a past. I was ignorant before, but I understand now. The more I heard, the more incredulous I became. Elena, does your anger mean you still care about me? Gabriel actually smiled. Do you like me when I was like a fool? I said expressionlessly. Or, do you like the me from when I was a child? You dislike my brother. You want me to be completely and solely devoted to you, but I can't do that. I twitched the corner of my mouth. He shook his head anxiously. I was really impatient, Just assume I got on the plane and died, he staggered. He suddenly laughed at Elena. Have you ever loved me? He choked. You're always so calm, never getting angry. If you had accompanied me abroad back then, there wouldn't have been anything to do with Leela. You also wouldn't have hidden from me the love letters you received, and I wouldn't have mistaken Leela for you. I love you several times more than you love me. I even loved you when you became like a fool. Who else would you marry without me? Your love is really terrifying. A cold voice sounded. You can't control your own actions, yet you try to PUA the other person. Who are you? It's none of your business. Gabriel glared at the person. He's my brother-in-law. My brother got out of Oliver's car and roared. I was a bit speechless and gave Oliver an apologetic look. Oliver slowly got out of the car and walked to my side. A real man doesn't make so many excuses for himself. Did Elena force you to go abroad? Force you to flirt with other women? Force you to marry her? Oliver asked in a deep voice. Gabriel looked shocked. Elena, haven't fulfilled legislation. How could you be with someone else? I'm sorry, can you give me another chance? He tried to hug me as he used to. Oliver blocked in front of me. I said warily, Gabriel, if you really feel sorry for me, don't bother us in the future. He fell to the ground in a daze. Is there really no chance at all? I said seriously. Really? I don't like you anymore. Gabriel gave a desolate smile and burst into despairing sobs. I didn't look back and closed the door. I gave my brother a warning look, and he immediately stood up straight. He tugged at my sleeve, pretending to be cute. Sis, I was wrong. I was too straightforward just now. Sorry, bro. He then said to Oliver, but can't you really be my brother-in-law? I glared at my brother. Theodore, and I bought your favorite ribs. Theodore, can you cook them? Oliver changed the subject. I can. My brother sensibly gave us some space. Sorry. Okay, I accept. But will you be responsible? Oliver said. I looked up in surprise and was stunned by his gaze. I'm 30 years old this year. I have a house, a car, and I can give you my savings right now. I have no bad habits. He was completely serious. I took a deep breath. Dumbfounded. Although I'm 7 years older than you. He paused, then continued, but I've really been keeping myself clean. I've never been in a relationship. I can testify. My colleagues at work say he's old-fashioned. A snicker came from the kitchen. Oliver shot him a look, and my brother shrank his head back. Oliver looked at me seriously. Can you give me a chance? It took me a while to come to my senses. My voice was dry as I asked. What do you like about me? Before, Gabriel was good to me because we were childhood sweethearts, but hadn't he also said that I didn't know how to love and would only run away from problems? Especially after I grew up, I was only thinking about making money to support my brother. He was silent for a moment, then slowly said, I'm attracted to you. You work in a closed-off environment. You haven't met many women, have you? He furrowed his brows, as if not understanding. I'm not old-fashioned. I smiled. He continued, I have my own vacation every year. I love traveling and have seen a lot of people and things. I've seen you when you were little and when you grew up. I understand and appreciate every side of you. A smell of something burning filled the air. My brother let out a scream and wailed, the ribs are burnt. The atmosphere was instantly ruined. I heard the faint sound of my finger joints cracking. Aren't you afraid I'm a brother-supporting type? I asked. Sis, I'm not a burden. I can support you. The protest came immediately. And Oliver really likes you. He's liked you since we were kids. If you don't believe me, look at the photos. Oliver's ears turned a bit red. I couldn't help but laugh. I don't believe it. Oliver pursed his lips, thinking seriously. Unless we try dating, I said slowly. His eyes lit up immediately. During an argument, when she pushed Gabriel, she accidentally fell. In the end, she just gave up and pestered Gabriel every day, even going to his parents. Gabriel was so angry that he ruined every job of hers. Leela was his first girlfriend in college when he was abroad. At that time, she was warm and generous. Different from her shrewish image now. And also different from the grown-up Elena. Elena didn't want to go abroad with him because she said her brother was still young. He went abroad alone in a huff. still thinking about Elena. One day when he was drunk, he mistook Leila for Elena. Actually, it wasn't exactly a mistake. Half drunk and half awake, he knew it couldn't be Elena. But he remembered what Theodore had said during the day. Theodore said Elena had received quite a few love letters. Gabriel was a bit resentful. When he was completely sober, he felt a bit regretful, but Leila said it was normal for adults to have such relationships. He admitted that he was quite into it. After all, he was only just an adult before returning to the country. He broke up with Leila. But he didn't expect that she would give up the opportunity in a big foreign company and follow him back. After getting along for a few years, he was indeed a bit touched, but he already had Elena in his heart. And Leila was just a passing fling. On the night of the car accident 3 years ago, Leila was drunk. She kissed him. And he didn't refuse for a moment. Which was seen by Elena. Elena wanted to break up, but Leila threatened to commit suicide. He was so distracted that he didn't notice the oncoming car. When he learned that Elena might be stupid for life, he regretted it deeply, but gradually, he found the feeling of liking Elena as he did when they were kids. Today, Leila in her wedding dress was as beautiful as when he went to fetch her for the wedding, only now, no one laughed at her for being a fool. Gabriel sometimes couldn't tell whether he liked the childhood Elena or the grown-up one. He also didn't understand why he had to distinguish. Maybe it was the male's inferior nature to hope that women had many sides. Until today, he finally understood that loving someone was like taking care of a flower. After Elena grew up, he didn't cherish her properly. He even thought that the flower he had nurtured wouldn't leave, and he took it for granted that Elena was his. How ridiculous! He staggered out of the wedding church. Leila was waiting for him at the door. She said with a resentful look, "See, the one who chases you and stays by your side is always me." His eyes were dull. Right after the car accident, he had also vented his anger on Leila and kept making things difficult for her as time passed. He was attracted by her so-called sincerity and kindness. Now that he thought about it, it was disgusting. The sound of a car horn rang out, and an idea came to his mind. He smiled at Leila. Was a bit flattered. He grabbed her tightly and walked towards the direction of the horn.